Welcome back. This week we're going to go with a Mayfly spinner. This color combination will cover you for just about every spinner that's out there, minus a couple. I do the sulfur spinners a little bit different, and the coffin flies for the green drakes. Obviously they're pure white, a little bit of black to them, but for the most part this will cover you. Tie this in a size 10, 12 all the way down to 20, 22 if you really like fishing stuff that small. I really don't care about fishing stuff that small these days, but there are times I still tie them. I still will fish them from time to time, but they get a little frustrating. But on with the spinner. Knox, cut it out. What are you doing over there? On with the spinner, as I was saying. These spinners have a very distinct tail, more so than the Duns. They are super long compared to the Dun tails, and zoom out while I'm rambling on about this. They're super long compared to the Dun tails, and it's very noticeable. Even when they're flying, you can see them split. So that's something that we want to imitate, not just for imitation purposes, but also because we're not going to be putting hackle on this, because there's not a whole lot of flotation to this fly. These tails are going to act as stabilization, so when the tails hit the water, and they're being split, it's not going to allow your fly, it's going to keep your fly from tilting and going side to side a whole lot. So there's a functionality behind this as well, not just for imitation purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little trick to help you split these tails. Let me make sure that everything looks good in the monitor. When you're splitting these, whether you're using hackle like we're going to today, or you want to use the microfibbits, whatever it may be, the microfibbits are a little frustrating to work with, in my opinion. They slide around a lot. It's kind of difficult to get them lined up perfectly. If you're OCD like me and one's just not perfectly matched, and then it drives you nuts. So it's probably more me than anything why I don't like working with them. But I really don't see a huge benefit between those and the hackle anyhow. So we're just going to take a small piece of dubbing, and we're going to make a small ball right here on the back, and then we're just going to take the rest of the dubbing and we're going to run it forward just to start building a little bit of bulk for our body. For this I just have a medium done, neck that we're going to use for our tails. You can use the ginger, you can use white if you want, cream, anything on the light side. I mean, we're going to be using so little of this material that by the time we get it tied in and split, you're really not going to see a huge difference between white and dun or anything like that. Just stay on the lighter side is all. So we're going to take, say, about a dozen of these, and we're just going to peel this off, keeping everything nice and even. We get zoomed in a little bit more here so we can see exactly what we're doing. And with these, because I said you'll notice when you see these spinners, their tail is so much longer. Typically we go the length of the hook. I want to go about 1.5 times, and I can see a hair in there that's already going to drive me nuts, so I'll have to cut that out. But 1.5 times the length of the hook. So there's about what we're looking at. I'm going to give it a little bit more because I have less to grab with my hands back there. So I'm just going to take a little bit more, and I'm going to tie this in, and then I'm going to retain this stuff right here. I'm not going to clip it off. I'm going to use that for bulk as well, or for my taper, not really bulk. And I'm going to take this right back to that ball of dubbing that we tied in. And I'm going to take these fibers and I'm going to get them as close to even as I can as far as numbers go. And what I want to do now, and I know this is going to be really tough for me to tie this and get the camera to see it. So before I show the camera, I'm going to get this tied in and secured. I'm just making a quick figure 8 right around the tail to help split them. And there you can see it. We have the nice split tails on this, and it's probably a little bulky, but once this gets wet, everything's going to slick back. I'll just kind of wet my fingers and show you what we're going to have. And it's not really going to work too awful much. One of them's going to work. I'll show you what we're going to have here when it comes to this thing getting in the water. But there you can see, I mean, this one's a lot more slender than the other one. So once this gets in the water, I mean, we're really nitpicking at this point too, to be honest. Like I said, this is a functionality and also an imitation, but I mean, you don't have to nitpick near as much as I am. The problem is I'm trying to explain it and I don't really have the vocabulary to to get out what I want to, so I'm not the greatest instructor in the world, I guess you could say. But anyhow, back to what I was going to get to before I got on my little rant there, is how I split these. And I'm going to try and turn this sideways and tie from the side as well so you can see. So when you have these split, go ahead and just go right through the center, right here. Make one wrap. This is important to make that wrap. Then go ahead and make another one. And then what you're going to do is come up through the opposite way and make that wrap. And then another one right on top of it. And like I was saying, it's important after you go through, until you're really, really comfortable with doing this process, it is really important to make that extra wrap, because if you don't and you have any lack of tension whatsoever, your thread is going to want to back off, and then you're going to lose that wrap, you're going to lose the security, and then your fibers are going to wind up going back together. So I'm going to wait. I'll cut that. No, I'm not. It's driving me nuts. I was just about to say I'm going to cut that before I take the picture, but it was bugging me, so I just got rid of it. But anyhow, you can see there's the length of the tails that we're looking at, and it's a little, it is a little bulky. We could have I probably could have cut this down slightly, and this is where the microfibets really come into play. But like I said, I don't like working with them. I could have cut it down, probably used 2 or 3 less per side, but we're gonna live with it. You get the gist of what we're after on this. This just won't be the sexiest fly in the world when it comes time to take pictures. Hopefully y'all can forgive me. So what we're gonna do next is, typically when I tie mayflies, I like to have my wings in before I do the body. On this one, we're gonna omit that step because these are split wings, and it's going to be a little bit difficult to, the wing material that I use, it gets a lot of strands all over the place, and it gets a little bit difficult to wrap your body and not catch a bunch of strands. So I'm going to just do the body first, and before I do that, I'm just going to build some bulk, work on my taper a little bit. There's not a, it's not a really aggressive taper like the Duns. The spinners seem to be just a little more sleek. I mean, you can see it's not aggressive whatsoever. So keep them on the slimmer side when you're doing this. Now, as always, when we're working with these Biots, just go ahead and take a little bit of zap. Quit spinning. Take a little bit of zap, throw this on here. This is just going to help out on the durability of your body. If you want to just go with a straight dubbing on this, by all means do it. It would make it a little bit quicker. But I just like the looks of these, so this is what I'm going to go with today. And then what we're going to do here is just go one rep right in front of the next, as always with these. Covered up the one section there. Hopefully it didn't kick on me yet. There we go. Imagine that, I got a little bit picky on my flies. Get back here. Okay, there you can see, that gives us that nice tapered effect. Let me get my hand there. It just gives you that nice barred effect. I don't know, it just looks so much better to me than straight dubbing. That's for an aesthetic reason. It's not gonna help you catch more fish or anything. It just looks better. Now I'm gonna be a hypocrite here and tell you the reason why I don't use anything but this Parapost for my spinners. Because you can use the Hackle tips, like these right here. You can cut these tips off. It makes a hen saddles especially, it makes a beautiful looking fly. It looks phenomenal. If you're looking to take pictures of a fly and just have something to look at, great. That's a perfect. CDC is another great one. For fishing purposes, they're shit. You catch one fish, if you're lucky, and your wings fall apart. This stuff right here doesn't fall apart. It's very durable. You can get a pretty good effect out of it. It doesn't look near as good as the hen saddles or anything, but durability wise, this is the way to go. So enough of my hypocrisy. We'll get back to tying this fly here. So we're going to take this white Parapost and trim this off, and you'll see as I start tying this in, you'll see what I was talking about it getting, you know, some wild fibers here and there, and to eliminate that, you can kind of wet it a little bit, and it will cut down on them traveling too awful much, but it won't eliminate it completely. So what we're going to do is just lay this flat right on the top, and we're going to figure eight this. And once I get this tied in and secured, I'll show you the top view of it. There you can see you have the figure eight thread wraps right over the top. Leave these long until you get your fly finished. This is when I tie these flies, when I tie the spinners, the trimming the wings is usually the last thing that I'll do. So I'm getting sidetracked here. I'm looking at those tails. I'm not exactly happy with them, but they'll work. The last thing we're going to do on this before we whip finish and cut our wings is we're going to take a little bit of dubbing, and I can already tell that I'm going to need some more, and we're going to fill out our thorax. This is just rusty brown dubbing. You know, matches the thread, matches the body. If you wanted to dub this fly, this is the stuff that you would use, just this rusty brown. and you'll see it matches up pretty close to the Biots that we're using. And then do the same thing, just follow your thread path that you used to split your wings and go right over top of this. The thorax is going to be a little bit thicker, but don't get carried away with it. Oh, get over here. There we go. That's about what we're after. Look at the underneath side, make sure we covered up our thread as best as possible. Not that it really matters because it's a pretty close match. Oh, get over here. I didn't like how that one went, so we're going to give it one more. Much better. So, the last thing, like I was saying earlier, the last thing that we're going to do here is trim our wings. Get the tail to cooperate for us. So what I do to trim these wings to get them consistent, you can see they're pretty wild right now. What I do is I pull these back and I go halfway back my tail. Trim, and I set these off to the side. You're gonna have a few wild ones that you're gonna have to trim up and clean up, but that gives you pretty much proportionately, it gives you about the right length that you're looking for your wings. There you have it. So I take them, like I said, just about halfway back my tail. I pull them together and then I'll cut them right about there. So it gives me nice even wings, and I don't have to worry about trimming one side, trimming the other, making sure, you know, seeing that they're uneven or whatever, and then you wind up cutting and cutting, and next thing you know, you don't have any wings. So to eliminate that, just cut them both at once, and they're pretty close to even. But anyhow, there you have it. I'm going to trim this up just a little bit before I take the picture for the video. But that is the rusty spinner. Like I said, this works for 95% of your Mayfly duns, or for your Mayfly patterns. As always, if you guys have any questions, comments, leave them with me. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. But thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you on the next fly.